everyone, so it's Diabetic Danica, and what you're about to see is real footage from my talk, my presentation at the JDRF Type 1 Nation Conference in New Braunfels, Texas that I've talked about a billion times. I asked if you guys wanted to see some of the footage and you said yes please. So yeah, my mom didn't film everything by any means. I just asked her to take a couple quick clips. So I did include all the slides from the teen session, so I show about the first 9-ish slides of me talking, and then they're just slides without the presentation part. And then we switch over to the kids session, and yeah, so hopefully you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Again, this was my very first time presenting in a non-school setting. So the way this goes is I spoke with the teens, I went through my slides with them, and then I switched and I showed them a video, one of my YouTube videos, the diabetes mishap at the beach video. After that, I had them write down questions they had for me. They handed them up to me and I answered them live for them right there. And then later it was the kids session. I showed my 10 things I like about type 1 diabetes video. We talked a little bit and then we made some crafts of things we like about diabetes. So if you haven't seen the video yet, I made a video talking about the whole experience from my perspective. If you want to hear what I thought about it, how much fun I had, you can click on the screen. So that's that video. And then if you want to see the video that was a result of the kids session, so the 10 things that we like about type 1 diabetes, all the kids and I, you can click here for that video. And we also have a photo album on my Facebook from the meet and greet portion, and so I will link that down below as well. All 3 of those will be linked down below. So check them out and check out this video to see kind of a little inside glimpse to the conference. So enjoy. Bye. So when I was first diagnosed, I was 11 when I was diagnosed. So I'd say as a teenager, I would get really annoyed when people would ask me questions because, I don't know, I just felt like nobody knew anything and they were always asking me if I could eat something or telling me I couldn't eat something, and I felt like I told the same people over and over again and they just weren't getting it. But over time, I kind of just got used to it, and so now I kind of look at it as a teaching opportunity, especially because I want to do diabetes education. It's kind of a nice way to kind of jump into that right away. So I usually explain what diabetes really is, that it's an autoimmune disease, and that I can eat anything as long as I get insulin. And that kind of is a simple way, I think, for people to really see what it is and grasp that and remember it. And then I also tell them that I can really do anything. Like, as long as I do the extra work, I check my blood sugar, I take insulin, I can do anything most people can do, except I think be a pilot, be in the Army or something like that. But I never want to do that, so I just say anything. And if they don't believe you, prove that it's true. Go out and do things. Travel, play sports, all of that, and they'll see that you're living your full life with diabetes. So, the second question is, do you ever feel different because you have diabetes or because you were an insulin pump? This viewer always felt different until she went to diabetes camp, and it helped her realize she's not alone. So I would say I definitely sometimes do, because it is different. Like, not every person in the world has an insulin pump or continuous glucose monitor on their body. You probably figured that out already. So I think that the cool thing is, though, is that there's plenty of other people that are different just like you. So recently I was on a work trip, and I was with some coworkers I didn't really know that well, and we were going down to the hotel pool. And so I was going to be wearing a bathing suit, and I hadn't worn a bathing suit in a while, and I remember feeling kind of self-conscious about it because I didn't really know them, and it was like, they're totally going to see my pump, my CGM, and everything. And I was feeling pretty self-conscious, but I was like, I'm going to do it anyway, whatever. So I went down, and I actually saw another pumper at the pool that same day. So it was really cool to realize that, you know, there's tons of other people dealing with it too, and I don't need to worry, basically. It was a cool reminder. So, and then as she mentioned in the question, Diabetes Camp is an awesome resource. I went to Diabetes Camp from like age 12 to 18, I think it was. And it's cool because it's kind of like here where there's just diabetics everywhere, and it's amazing. So like, everyone's checking their blood sugars together, everyone's counting carbs together, giving insulin, and you can talk about diabetes like it's the weather, basically. It's like a normal everyday thing. So if you haven't gone yet, I would definitely suggest it. You can meet a lot of diabetics. And I'm getting a phone call from Georgia. That's nice. Okay. I get all these telemarketers from like every state. Anyway, okay. Question 3, how do you tell your friends that you have diabetes? So again, throwing it back to as a teen, I was definitely scared to tell people at first. Like, I don't like to tell everybody everything right away. I'm kind of more reserved in that way. And so I would try to avoid it in some instances. I remember one friend in particular, I was like super nervous, and we were like bike riding. I was like 12 or whatever. And I was really nervous about it, and probably me being nervous made her nervous. And then once I did say it, it like wasn't a big deal at all, and she thought it was cool. She wanted to check her blood sugar like every time I did, and I was like, I don't have enough supplies for that, but thank you. So it was really neat, and so I realized that like however you present it is how they're gonna take it usually. So now I usually just kind of wait until I have to check my blood sugar or pull up my pump or something like that, and then I explain why I'm doing that. And that kind of helps them see that it's a normal part of my life, it's routine, and then I think it's seen less as like a big talk. Like, you don't have to sit them down and be like, I have something really important to tell you. I have diabetes. Like, they're probably going to freak out a little bit. So I think the only difference would be if you're like needing to tell a coach or a teacher. That might be more of like a talk scenario. But for friends, I feel like just look at it as normal and they will too. The 4th question is, how can you learn how to manage stress, either in life or school, and diabetes at the same time? So I'm a big cheerleader for checking a lot. So I think the more that you're checking your blood sugar, the more you're going to know. And the more that you know, the more you can act on that. So if you know when you're low and high, you can take the steps to stop that, basically, and get your blood sugars back in check. And this also helps make diabetes routine. So over time, it'll actually feel weird to not check. Like, I think if I didn't check before a meal now, I would feel off and like, what did I forget? Because it's just a normal part of my life, like eating. You also have to recognize, though, that you are human. So every once in a while, I still do forget. So if I'm at like a big get-together with a lot of friends, and I'm at a meal, sometimes I forget to give insulin for a meal. And later, I'm like, how did I forget this? Like, I've been doing this for 13 years now. So that'll happen. You just have to be nice to yourself and be like, okay, next time I'll get it. Like, this is okay. And you can always reach out to people that you love for support. Number 5, how can I best manage when I go off to college? This was actually submitted by a certified diabetes educator who gets this from her teen patients a lot. And the best advice I ever got, I went to kind of like a session sort of like this, and they talked about a transition time. So about junior, senior year of high school, you slowly take every diabetes responsibility if you don't already have it. So for me, the only thing I didn't do really was adjust basal rates. My mom did that. This is my mom, by the way. The only thing I didn't do was adjust basal rate. She did that, and I didn't order like supplies or anything like that. So I started to slowly do those things like one at a time, so it's not overwhelming, and that really helps. So by the time you actually get to college, you've already done everything. Like, you're already doing all these different responsibilities. So I tried to lay them out, and I think this is everything. Basically checking every blood sugar, so hopefully 4 times a day minimum, I would say. You're giving every shot, you're changing every infusion set, and on time, though. I think that's a big one. So I would set an alarm on my phone every 3 days, otherwise I forget, because my insulin is off on which days I change it. Also that you're the one carb counting, you're adjusting all your doses, you're getting prescriptions, you're ordering supplies, and setting up endo appointments. And so that can look really overwhelming. It's a really long list. And so it's helpful if you literally just one at a time. You're probably doing most of them already, but just so that you have all of them before you're ever there. And then once you're there, it's all normal to you. And then also it's important to remember once you are there, again, check your blood sugar a lot, keep it a priority. It can be really distracting with everything that's changing. But if you tell people around you and keep it a part of your life, it'll help. Because then it's, again, a routine. I think routine helps a lot. Question 6, do you ever feel like giving up? There are days when my blood sugar is crazy low or high and I just want to throw my hands up. How do you deal with those moments? Do you have a support system? So I think everybody has these moments. With any chronic illness, it's 24/7. You don't get a vacation, you don't get any holidays. And so I think it happens to everybody. And the important thing is that you have to understand that blood sugars are never going to be 100 all the time. Diabetics are never going to have that. It'd be awesome if we did, but it's just not the case. So you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows 100% no matter how well you take care of it. So in the end, I know that knowing this knowledge, I'm still going to try my best, because the more you try, the more you're going to feel good and the better you're going to be down the road too. So I know it's worth it to take good care of myself so that I live a happy life, I live a long life, and the people around me want me around for a long time too. So again, I think being kind to yourself is really important and giving yourself grace to know that mistakes happen to everybody. And that is me, by the way. In Target.
That was last year.
I think so, yeah. I was with my friend Tiffany and we're like, well, we have to try these on. So I have a picture of her too, but it's not in here. So how do you avoid spikes after meals is question number 8. So there's a lot of ways to avoid spikes after meals. I definitely don't avoid all spikes after meals because I have a life and I'm not perfect. But pre-bolusing is a big one. So if you don't know what that is, pre-bolusing is basically you give your insulin for your meal between it can vary, but 5 to 15 minutes before your meal. The longest I've heard is 30 minutes. It really depends on your body and you have to really figure that out for yourself. But one big thing that helps is the continuous glucose monitor. So you can really see what your blood sugar is doing. When you're bolusing that early, you have a big chance of getting a low blood sugar. So you want to kind of keep an eye on your trends and kind of figure out. I usually, once my air starts going down, then I'll eat. But the problem is slower food. So pizza and burritos, especially for me at least, are really slow. And so if you bolus that early, give insulin that early, you're going to go low. So you have to be aware of that. You also have to be able to guarantee that your food's going to be ready when you're ready to eat it. So if you're at a restaurant, I would say probably don't pre-bolus because who knows how busy they are. But those are just some things you can do. Additionally, fast carbs are really the thing that is spiking you. So if you order a milkshake, try to pace yourself. I would say drink it throughout the meal, even after the meal, and that'll really help spikes. Also rotating sites, so either injection or infusion sets, because the better absorption, the quicker your insulin will work. And usually the problem is your food works and then your insulin is kind of trailing. So it's helpful if you have really good absorption. Exercise also will kind of help lower your baseline. I actually one time, I got a really sugary drink from Starbucks and I didn't even bolus for it because I went on a walk with it and I was great blood sugar wise. So exercise can do wonders. And then starting off at a good number 2. Be able to get through all these, I'm pretty sure. We'll just jump right into them. So the first one, it actually relates to the video, so that's good. How do high blood sugars affect you mentally and physically? So I'd say the biggest way physically is, or the thing I notice first, I guess, is that I get super thirsty. And my mouth just feels like there's cotton in it, it kind of tastes bad, and I can also get more tired, more sluggish. And just overall, I don't feel the best. Mentally, I would say that I get more frustrated more easily, either with the blood sugar itself or just with whatever is happening in my life. Because again, I feel like whenever I don't feel good, whether I'm sick, whether it's blood sugar, if I'm just tired, everything is harder to deal with. And so that's why I think it's hard when your blood sugar is kind of staying high, that you can kind of get in a rut about it, is because you aren't feeling good. And so it's important to get those down. So thanks for that question. The next one is, what if you don't have a purse? So either people who don't carry purses or a lot of guys, I've often wondered what they do. I had one friend who was a diabetic and he was a guy, and he just wore cargo pants all the time, and he had big old pockets and he put everything in there, and that is a really good way. I think that would drive me crazy personally, but that worked for him. I've also seen guys carry bags too, lunchbox style bags. I've seen messenger bags. I've seen for the guys here. What do you do?
I wear cargo pants, but
cargo pants?
I'm not carrying a purse, so.
Yeah. What do you do? A handbag.
I've thought about a go bag, just put all the diabetic stuff in there and carry it. So.
Yeah.
I have friends with little backpacks.
Backpacks? Yeah, backpacks work too. Do you do anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
A small backpack.
Small backpack. Cool. So there's always ways. Do you feel like people ask you what it is a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's oh, that's a nice cell phone. What? No.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, I always carry a purse. But actually, it did take me a long time to get used to it though. Like, since I was 11, I didn't carry a purse back then. And so most of the time, I would forget it. Like, we'd get in the car, and my mom would say, do you have your diabetes kit? And they're like, oh, no, not at all. So that took a little bit. Also on here is a question about the pros of the CGM. I think is what the question is asking.
Well, I was just thinking, it's for me, when I had my pump and my CGM, my CGM would always get lost. And so now, since the pump is integrated into this, or CGM is integrated into the pump, since it's attached to me, I can't lose it.
True.
So that's a pro for me.
Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. Cool. Yeah, I agree. I waited so long for the Animus 5, which is the integrated one. But now I actually have it on my phone, which I didn't think I would like because I thought I wanted it in the pump. But it's actually been really nice, so I don't know. We'll see. But I'll talk about the pros of the CGM anyway. Might as well. Do you guys all have CGMs, or who has a CGM here? Wow, that's crazy. Most of you. Okay. Well, I'll still tell you. For me, I think the pro is definitely the trends and the alarms. So it's nice to be able, as you know, like to see blood sugars in between meals. Because anything could happen. You could test your blood sugar in the morning and be 100. You could test in the evening and be 100. But in between, you could have done all this craziness. So that's really nice. And then the alarm. So overnight, if I go low, I often won't wake up until I'm super low. And so the alarms will wake me up beforehand. And so that way I catch them a lot sooner. Before I got the CGM, I woke up in the middle of the night with a 26 blood sugar, just because I didn't feel it until I was down there. But now it alarms at 70, so I really prefer that. Luckily I was fine, I was conscious, I got my own juice and everything, but it was definitely scary. Let's see, another question is, how do you deal with diabetes in sports? So all throughout school actually, elementary, middle school, high school, I played basketball and soccer, and I did track for 1 year. I don't know if that counts. So I definitely did a lot of sports. I think there's a lot of different aspects with diabetes in sports. The main first thing is I'd always tell my coach that I had diabetes. He even went so far as to carry my bag for me that had my snacks in it, that had my checker in it, all of that stuff. And we taught him how to do the glucagon shot. My mom always did that for me. I keep referring to you, but when you're young, I mean, your parents help you with everything. So she would go through that. Just so that anything were to happen. I've never had to use it, but just in case, they would know how to do that. And then in terms of myself, like what I would do, I would check before practices and before games, of course, to make sure my blood sugar was good. I would always have snacks with me. For my pump, I used this special pouch. It's kind of like a long thing of Velcro all the way around, and so you can adjust it to however big you want it. And I would put it right back here so that it wouldn't be popping out. And then I would put my spandex shorts over it. Keep it really close to my body so no one would get hurt, I wouldn't get hurt. And that worked really well for me actually, and people had always said that they never knew it was there. Like when they heard that it was there, they were like, oh, I never noticed that. So that's what really worked for me. And then unfortunately, if I did go low during a game, I would have to sit out, and it always drove me crazy. Or during practice, I feel like it was always the end of practice for basketball when you're running lines, which is literally just running back and forth, and everyone hates it. That's when I would go low usually, so I felt really bad. And like I was skipping out, but luckily all my teammates understood. But yeah, sometimes I would have to sit out for either a high or low. But other than that, I think it was very, very doable. I think sports are definitely a good thing for diabetics to do. It helps your blood sugars. Actually, one other thing. The only thing that was, I think, the most tricky was actually later, after the sports was over. So when I would go to bed, up to like 7 hours later, I could go low, which is scary because you're asleep, and I didn't have a continuous glucose monitor. So what I found worked for me, this is just my number, so you'd have to figure it out for yourself, talk to your doctor, but mine was negative 20% basal for 2 hours. And I would do that every night after, and that was just enough less insulin that I wouldn't go low most of the time. And then I also had really great parents who would check me in the middle of the night and make sure that I was at a good number. So that's kind of what we found worked for me, but again, everyone is different, every diabetes person is different, and so you have to kind of figure it out for yourself.
Claire mentioned Danica in her video. Good job, Claire. But we're gonna watch a video that said 10 things I like about type 1 diabetes. Danica will say a few words, and we're gonna work on some activities talking about some of the positive aspects that we can find in type 1. And then you're gonna get a chance to take a group photo as part of the activity and do a little video clip so that Danica can make a video that you'll all be in that we'll share with your parents after the conference. Can you believe that? And then we're gonna take some pictures. You're gonna get some pictures on your phone, and you're gonna get to take a silly picture with Diabetic Danica. You'll each get a chance to meet her. So if you don't worry, you'll each get some individual time, all right? All right, I'm gonna help Danica get her video started so you'll get to know who she is. Oh, good. She started in simple roots just like yours. Hang on. You get this back one.
Have food with me, always. So like, you know how you're like out somewhere and someone's like, I'm so hungry, there's nowhere to stop, and like, I'm just like, well, here's granola bar, bam, always with me, never go hungry. Number 12, I know my exact height and weight, so that's exciting, because I go to the endo every 3 months, and so whenever anyone asks me how tall I am, I'm always like, I'm 5'8", which I think is ridiculous. They literally tell me that every time. I'm not 5'8", I'm 5'8". So that's what I tell people. And my Twitter and Facebook links will be down below.
All right. What do you guys think? Have you ever thought about what you like about diabetes? Probably not, right? You have? I think a lot of people focus on what they don't like about diabetes because it's kind of like needles and you feel low, you don't like that. But there's actually kind of a lot of things that you can sort of like about it. And just because you like some things doesn't mean that you like diabetes, because I think it's very rare that someone likes diabetes. But what are some things that you might like? Whoever next year. If you're low, you can eat candy. That's a huge one. I love when I'm low and I can eat candy. Can anyone think of another one that they like? You right there. Never mind. Change your mind. What about you? And you can have Smarties in your low. Is that your favorite candy? Yo! What about you? When you're what?
I'm saying when I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. Cool. What about you?
I kind of feel better when I'm eating that.
Do you think so? You think you're healthier, maybe? You look at your health a little bit more. What about you?
When we get low, and then the mom with the juice, and then it's still low, I was candy.
Nice. So it's a lot of candy options I'm hearing. So what we're gonna do? What do you have another one?
Yeah, like when you're like somewhere and you want to eat it because my dad comes
Me too.
to see how my birthday is. And I get to
Yeah, you get to have your phone and other people can't. So that's really cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little craft. So think about what you do like about diabetes, and it can be the same thing as the video, it can be the same thing anybody else said. Try to think of as many as you can, and we're gonna write it on pieces of paper, and we're gonna put it up on the wall, and we're gonna make it say T1D, and it's gonna look really pretty, and then later we're gonna take a picture of it on the phone, and so we can all see what we like about diabetes. Does this sound fun?
Yeah, but we need
You have a question? Hey everyone, it's Diabetic Danica, and I'm here at the Type 1 Nation Conference for San Antonio and Austin. And all my friends here today and I have been talking about what we like about Type 1 diabetes. So check it out, and remember,
T1D looks like me.